Nigel Farage, the bold and ever-outspoken leader of Reform UK, has taken direct aim at Prime Minister Keir Starmer, unleashing a barrage of criticism that he claims reveals Labour's incompetence and utter disconnect from the British people. In a series of powerful statements, Farage pointed to three crucial decisions made by Starmer's government that, he argues, highlight Labour's deep-rooted failure in leadership. These blunders, according to Farage, not only tarnish Britain's international reputation, but also alienate the very voters Labour needs to secure its political future. As these controversies grow, so too does the political pressure on Starmer, and Farage isn't pulling any punches. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details of Farage's fiery takedown of Starmer, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest on Britain's political chaos. We're here to bring you the scandals, the power plays, and everything happening behind the scenes. Stay tuned as this story unfolds because, trust me, you won't want to miss it. Farage's first major critique revolves around Labour's shocking U-turn on a proposed smoking ban in pub gardens, a policy that many believe would have spelled disaster for Britain's already struggling pubs. Initially, Labour planned to introduce a sweeping ban on smoking outdoors in public places like pub gardens, restaurant terraces, and even outside football stadiums. Starmer defended the move, claiming it was part of Labour's long-term health strategy to reduce the burden on the NHS and create a smoke-free generation by 2030. The plan was met with fierce opposition from pub owners, smokers, and ordinary Britons, who saw it as yet another overreach by Labour's nanny state. Facing backlash from all corners, Labour suddenly backtracked, announcing that the smoking ban would only apply to areas outside hospitals and schools, leaving pub gardens and other outdoor spaces unaffected. This abrupt reversal left many questioning Starmer's leadership and willingness to stand by his policies. And of course, Nigel Farage was quick to seize on the moment. Farage tore into the U-turn, branding it a perfect example of Labour's weakness and failure to understand the concerns of everyday Brits. This is typical of Labour, out of touch with the public and willing to sacrifice businesses for the sake of their nanny state policies, Farage fumed. First, they pushed for a ban that would have crushed Britain's pubs, and now, after realising how unpopular it is, they try to quietly back down. It's laughable. Farage's attack didn't stop there. He went on to accuse Starmer of jeopardising Britain's already ailing hospitality sector with unnecessary regulations that hurt small businesses. This smoking ban would have been the final nail in the coffin for Britain's pubs, he added. People are already struggling, and the last thing they need is more interference from a government that has no clue how to run the country. Indeed, pub owners across the UK echoed Farage's concerns, with many voicing relief over the U-turn, but frustration at the government's flip-flopping. Labour has no idea what it's like to run a small business, one pub owner told GB News. If they had gone through with the ban, it would have forced us to shut down. These politicians are completely out of touch with what the public actually wants. The next scandal to rock Starmer's government is even more controversial, and it's happening thousands of miles away across the Atlantic. Labour has found itself embroiled in a diplomatic firestorm after it was revealed that nearly 100 of the party's staffers had travelled to the United States to campaign for Vice President Kamala Harris ahead of the 2024 US presidential election. The decision to send British political operatives to support a foreign campaign has drawn intense criticism from both sides of the political spectrum, with many accusing Labour of meddling in US politics. But it gets worse. Donald Trump's campaign has already filed a formal complaint with the US Federal Election Commission, accusing Labour of foreign interference and violating election laws. Trump's camp alleges that Labour's involvement amounts to illegal foreign assistance in a US election, a claim that has sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles. Farage was quick to call out the insanity of the situation. Labour has made a catastrophic mistake by getting involved in the US election, Farage warned. Trump is very likely to win in 2024, and Labour's decision to send staffers to campaign for Harris is nothing short of political suicide. If Trump gets back into the White House, Labour will have burned one of Britain's most important diplomatic bridges. Farage's criticism struck a chord with many political commentators who agree that Labour's involvement in the US election could have long-lasting consequences for UK-US relations. Trump's complaint, which accuses Labour of trying to influence the outcome of the American election, has already strained the relationship between the two political parties. If Trump does win, Farage argues, Britain could face serious diplomatic fallout. But the real question is, why is Labour getting involved in US politics in the first place? The party has claimed that the staffers were volunteering on their own time and that no Labour resources were used to support the Harris campaign. However, this explanation has done little to quell the outrage, especially with Trump's camp accusing Labour of acting on behalf of a foreign government. "It's a dangerous game to play," Farage said. "Keir Starmer is putting Britain's interests at risk just to curry favour with the Democrats. It's disgraceful." Farage's third, and arguably most explosive criticism, comes in response to Labour's stance on the contentious issue of slavery reparations. As the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, CHOGM, approaches, there has been renewed pressure on the UK to pay reparations for its role in the transatlantic slave trade. Activists and some members of Labour have been pushing the government to make amends by offering financial compensation to affected nations and communities. However, Starmer has refused to engage with these calls, arguing that the government should focus on current challenges like climate change and poverty. Farage, never one to shy away from controversy, slammed Starmer for his indecisiveness. "This is classic Starmer. He wants to talk a big game about progressive values, but when it comes to actually doing something, he backs down," Farage said. "He's trying to have it both ways, and it's not working." Farage's comments have ignited a fierce debate within the UK, with many questioning whether Labour's handling of the reparations issue could alienate key segments of the electorate. Some voters see Labour's reluctance to address the past as a sign that the party is out of touch with the concerns of Britain's minority communities. Others, however, agree with Starmer's decision to focus on present-day challenges rather than becoming mired in debates over historical wrongs. As Farage continues to hammer Labour on these three issues, the smoking ban U-turn, foreign interference in the US election, and slavery reparations, it's clear that the Prime Minister is facing a growing political crisis. Starmer's leadership, once seen as stable and pragmatic, is now under scrutiny as Reform UK rises in the polls and dissatisfaction with Labour grows. Farage's attacks are resonating with voters who feel left behind by Labour's policies and decisions. Many see him as the only politician willing to stand up to the political establishment and speak for ordinary Britons. With the general election on the horizon, the stakes couldn't be higher for both Starmer and Farage. So, what's next for Labour? Can Starmer turn things around before the next election, or will his leadership crumble under the weight of these mounting scandals? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on this unfolding political drama. Farage isn't backing down, and neither are we. Starmer under fire again.